Hi everybody, this is Mrs. Dunn again. In this video, I want to talk to you about finding the sample size required to estimate a population proportion. We're going to do an example and we're going to talk about when we know what the point estimate p hat is and when p hat is not known, when p hat is not known and when p hat is known. So that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to talk about how we find the sample size when p hat is not known and when p is known. The formulas for that are written right here. That's the easiest way to find it, is to just plug that into your formula. But one thing I want to point out to you is that this round off rule is very, very important. Here, you are not using your typical rounding rules. Here, when you're determining sample size, you always round up to the nearest integer. So for example, if you get some value of 1067.1, you're going to round that to 1068. Always rounding up, not using your typical rounding rules, but always rounding up. Okay, so let's go through an example. So find the sample size needed to estimate the percentage of California residents who are left-handed. Use a margin of error of 3 percentage points and use a confidence level of 99%. We have two problems to do. Assume that p hat and q hat are unknown, or B, assume that based on prior studies, about 10% of Californians are left-handed. We're going to do part A first. So we're going to find the sample size when p hat is not known. The formula that we use when we don't know p hat is the critical value squared times 0.25 divided by the margin of error squared. So in this problem, we have to find a critical value for 99%. You can do that on your calculator or the table that I showed you in the previous video. And the margin of error, E, is told to us, and it's 3 percentage points. So when I put those numbers into the formula, they look like this. So the critical value is 2.576. We're going to square that, multiply it by 0.25, and divide that by the margin of error squared. If you'd like, I'll do that problem on your calculator for you, just to show you how you type it in. So I would type a parenthesis and then, 2.576 squared. We're going to multiply that by 0.25. And we're going to divide that by 0.03 squared. So this is what it looks like when you type it in your calculator. And notice you get a value of 1843.271111, and we're using those rounding rules. Remember, we're always rounding up no matter what, and so the sample size needed is 1,844. Okay. Part B. Part B asks us to find the sample size when P is known. An estimate is known, P hat. So we have an estimate that it's 10%. So that's our best estimate. The formula when we know P hat is written here. Everything's the same except we're going to multiply P hat times Q hat in the numerator. So when we put those values into the formula, 2.576 squared times 0.10 times 0.90. Remember, Q hat is 1 minus P hat. So 1 minus 0.1 is 0.9. And we're going to divide that by the margin of error. And I won't do it on the calculator. We did that before. Round up all the time. So it's 664. So notice there's a drastic difference here. If we did not know what p hat is, let me go back. Remember then the number of people that we would have to use in our sample was 1,844. And when we do know an estimate for the proportion, then our number of sample size is greatly decreased to 664. Okay, good luck. Email me with any questions.